All right. What is up, everyone? Happy Wednesday, July 5th. We are here. We are here with my man, Chris from Taste Take, man. It's been a minute, Chris. I feel like it's been like years since we've seen each other, man. It's been a
It's
while,
been a
man.
couple of years. It's been a couple of years. Yeah.
It's good to see you, my friend. And more importantly, it's good to see you to talk about this show, man, Secret Invasion. Me, you, Amanda, the last 3 years have been covering literally almost every like what if to WandaVision to She-Hulk to all of them,
Yep.
man. And now we're here with Secret Invasion. Chris, how are you doing, my friend? And have you been enjoying this show so far?
What's up, bud? I'm doing good. As always, thanks for having me on. You know, I love talking Marvel with you and Amanda, so I'm gonna try to hold it down for the both of us. How am I? I don't know if I'm enjoying it yet. I don't know. We talked about
Interesting.
it after episode
Okay.
one. After
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
one, I was completely out of it. Like I was like, I don't get this. But I knew it
Gotcha.
was only one
Gotcha.
episode. You gotta stick with it. Two and three, to me, I enjoyed much more than one.
Sure.
But I'm
Yeah.
still not all the way there yet. I'm interested to see, we're at the halfway mark, see how they finish it up. But I'm just not all the way there yet. That's still not the worst Disney Plus show in my opinion,
Yeah.
but it hasn't caught me yet. And I
Hey,
just have more questions than maybe you could help me answer some of them.
hey,
But
that's what we're
I do
here,
do
Chris.
have a lot of questions.
To make theories and hypotenuses and whatnot, man. And this is why we're here tonight, man. But Chris,
Yeah.
you have been on the channel 1,000 times, man. I can't wait to have you on more 1,000 times. But just in case someone at home is watching my channel, watching you for the first time, why don't you introduce yourself and then we'll get right into today's episode.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I would hope that there's someone that hasn't seen me on here. And if you haven't, I'm Chris Tate. I represent Tate's Take on YouTube. You can find all of my information somewhere up in here. I do YouTube stuff, of course. I have my Instagram in there. I got my Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff is in there. And I just talk about movies. I talk about TV shows, documentaries, reality shows. All that's on my channel. I try to give people a little background on the content and give you my take on it. So if you're into that sort of thing, you could follow along for the journey. But big Marvel nerd, big comedy nerd, just happy to be here. What's up, y'all?
Yes, sir. And as y'all can see, my man's rocking the D Generation X.
Yeah, basically, I'm old.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned all your profiles and your social media accounts, man. Have you started? What is it? Threads? Is that the new
Well,
Instagram,
yeah. Well, Threads
Twitter
is not
thing?
out yet. You can't get on Threads yet. I think
Oh,
it's.
I
I think.
downloaded it about 30 minutes ago, bro.
Yeah, but I thought they launched it on Friday officially.
Nah, bro. I'm on Thread. Look, bro. I'm on
You
Threads
threading
right
right
now.
now?
I'm threading
Nah,
right now, bro. Look at it.
nah, you get on
Exclusive.
Threads. They was like,
Yeah.
yo, July 6th. I'm like, all right, whatever.
Nah, they
I was
dropped
gonna wait.
that exclusive early,
All
early.
right, all right. No,
But
I'm
nah,
definitely about to get on Threads.
definitely, man. Because Twitter, whoo, talk about secret invasion. I think Elon Musk has proven to be a scroll. But anyway,
For
check out
sure.
Chris's information that can be found in the description of the video. So
Oh, I see it now. 1 hour. Threads is now available.
so it's
411.
ready, bro. It's ready.
That's
It's ready
crazy.
to launch.
All right, they early. Hell yeah.
Yeah, man. But Chris, going back, just to backtrack a little bit, and just for those that might be watching the first time, Disney Plus MCU experience from 2021 until now. Of course, we've been talking about it for years, but just in case someone watching for the first time, a fan of the series so far, haven't been a fan, disappointed, and what was that kind of based on your answer? What was the
Mhm.
anticipation going into Secret Invasion?
Yeah, from the beginning, we were into it heavy, and starting from WandaVision, that was a lot of people's favorite Disney Plus show,
Yeah, yeah,
and the hype was so crazy. So just kind of interesting to me to see like the hype kind of just fade. And I don't want to use those buzzwords like superhero fatigue,
yeah. Don't you
even
dare!
though
Don't you dare!
I just used it. But it might be some of that. I don't know if the
Yeah,
promotion was that good for this show, but
yeah,
it's like
man.
from what you explained last time, very low ratings for this show.
Yep.
But there was also low ratings for She-Hulk. People didn't like that, but I can understand low ratings for She-Hulk because people don't like women and they don't like people being progressive and
Yeah,
introspective. So I understood that hate, even though I believe unwarranted.
yeah.
But for this, you got Samuel L. Jackson. Who's that? Was that the most popular or most money making uh,
I think he's the
actor of all
highest
time?
grossing actor of all time. Yeah, he is
Yeah, so you got
worldwide.
him in it, and
Yeah,
then people still not watching it. But I think I don't really see like if I wasn't a YouTube guy, like I can't like I just don't see it often. Like I'm not seeing so many billboards. Even She-Hulk, I saw a shit ton of billboards and like advertising, like marketing promotions for it. Maybe I'm just missing it, but I just feel like we're not. They're not. There's something's missing.
Something is missing for sure, Chris, because to your point, man, even based on, I mean, She-Hulk, yes, I totally agree with you as far as the hate that show got and some of the low viewership. But, to a certain extent, new character, Miss Marvel, new character, Moon Knight, new character. So we expect not everyone jumping at the bits like they were with WandaVision or Loki or even Falcon and Winter Soldier, because they're people we know, the characters we love and been following for years. And like you just mentioned, we've been following Nick Fury since 2008. Man, the man's been in the MCU, had his hands in every project for damn near 10 plus years. I agree, man. The promotion for this show has been very lackluster, to say the least, man. I don't have cable, so I don't know during the finals if they were showing it on every commercial. I'm in Missouri, so we don't have like billboards or anything. But I didn't feel the hype as I did with some of the other shows that were reestablishing or introducing us to another side of the character that we've already known. So it is kind of unfortunate. And also, Chris, to your point, this has been marketed when it was being marketed as a special crossover event series. I ain't getting that hype, bro. I ain't getting the hype on Twitter, Threads, TikTok.
Yeah, and think about how easy it is. Like, of course, it's not cheap to make these special effects for a show like this.
Right.
But think about marketing celebrity cameos where it's them, but it's not really them. They're Skrulls, and who's not a Skrull, and you think if it's a basketball game, you think it's your teammate, but it's your rival player, and they're getting all the secrets in the team huddle. It's like
you could have went wild with that, bro. You could have went crazy. And to be honest, too, I think some of that lack of promotion is because I think half the cast isn't on social media. One of which Sam ain't on social, Ben Mendelsohn ain't social. So I understand that aspect. But to your point, as the marketing, you could have had people pretending to be certain celebrity. That would have been fire. Oh my goodness, that would have been Marvel. Will you, right? Kevin, give my man a call. But I agree, man. It's been very, very quiet on the internet. But I'm hoping that maybe people, not the superhero fatigue, but maybe people are just waiting for it all to drop at once. Because to your point, and we'll get into this episode, as you mentioned, episode 1, I totally agree with you. 1 to me was the weakest out of the 3 thus far. And maybe people did watch episode 1, was like, man, this is kind of slow. Where's the Avengers? We following all these old aliens. It might not be their cup of tea, but maybe they're just waiting for all of it to drop. Or they're waiting for that internet explosive moment where an Avenger, Captain Marvel, someone comes up and get the internet.
I would definitely waited.
Yeah, man. But let's just jump right into it, man. I mean, this episode was titled Betrayed, and I think it's the shortest out of the 3 so far. The first two was like 55, 56 minutes. But we open up, Chris, with just kind of, again, establishing these characters and establishing the infiltration of the Skrulls as we see them setting up one of their missions to go out to the Royal Armies or the Royal Navy to get this thing popping off. And the first question I have for you, Chris, is this, I think his name was Beto. He was one of the new recruits that guy had recruited in episode 1. Is it me, Chris, or you think he gonna do something for the good? Like I'm referring to, he's gonna turn on gravity, because he doesn't seem to be like wanting to get down with this war and starting World War III. He just wants some food. He want a house over his head. He want to be comfortable. Do you feel like that Beto character will be someone to look forward to moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, but maybe not even him. Like his whole goon squad doesn't seem so goony all the time.
Yeah,
and they kind of feel like they're just kind of following him, not out of like pure like allegiance, just kind of like maybe a little bit of fear. So I think that's liable for a couple of those dudes in that and gals in the goon squad.
I agree, man. I agree. I think that there is it'll be interesting, because again, that's one of my issues going into this series, Chris, was being familiar with Secret Invasion to a certain extent from the comics perspective. This is a big story. A big story for 6 episodes scared me. And I think we're starting to see, especially in this episode, that is so much story that some things just won't be fleshed out enough. Because to your point, I would assume that there are some people like Beto who isn't really down to take over the world and kill innocent people, but they're just doing that because it is kind of one of those situations where, hey, they provided me with food, clothes, all this stuff, so I'll just be for the cause, just for my well-being. But I wonder if there is a fraction of the group that isn't comfortable with Gravik's, type of the way he's handling things, or if they're all just there for the cause. And that's something I think if it was maybe a little bit more fleshed out, maybe more episodes, we would have those type of conversations.
No, I totally agree. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, we're gonna get into it, but it's like, oh, you threw that in there at this fourth quarter. You threw that in there in the fourth quarter. There's just a lot, and I kind of what does this tie into next? Like, as a big project? Is it the Marvels, I guess?
A betting person would say this is the prequel. Well, I don't say prequel, but yeah, the sequel to Captain Marvel, and then kind of the prelude into the Marvel. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty
Without
I'm
Captain Marvel, by the way.
well. Hey, we got 4 more episodes, or 3 more. She
3 more,
might
yeah.
pop up, or Monica Rambeau might pop up. But yeah, this I would hope, and that's the thing too with the whole MCU TV shows announcement was Kevin Feige had said. He said 2 things. One, you didn't have to watch the series to follow along, but then he was like, "No, you got to watch these series to know what's going on." There's only been, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, there's only been 3 series so far, to my memory serves correctly, that have tied into movies. WandaVision, Becoming the Scarlet Witch, tied into Doctor Strange, Falcon and Winter Soldier. We haven't seen it yet, but obviously we know Falcon, or I'd say Cap, is going to have his own movie based on the ramifications of that show. In low key, I guess you could say Kang, The One Who Remains, tied into Quantum Mania. So everything else, Hawkeye, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, What If, and those shows haven't really built into another show. So I'm hoping that this, to your point, is a show that leads into November, which is when the Marvels comes out. At least one would think, because it's so connected.
And yeah, it has to. It has to. I just didn't know if they like made an actual statement or announcement. But yeah, that's the only thing that would make sense.
Yeah, man, I think they will. If they're smart, they will. But speaking of smart, man, this villain, Gravik, man, played by Kingsley Benadir, who, I don't know, Chris, if you're a fan of his work prior to this, whether it's One Night in Miami and things
One
of
Night
that
in
nature.
Miami, and then of course, what's the other one? Is he playing Bob Marley? Is he?
He is. Trailer's dropping tomorrow of the Bob Marley movie with Lashana Lynch, I think, playing his wife. So I'm really excited to see what he brings to the table. So yeah, he was in that, and he was in some other shows I saw. But question I bring to you, Chris, is how have you felt about Gravik? You know, again, we covered all the shows, bro, and most of the Disney Plus shows have had some very terrible villains, Flag Smashers, the tracksuit mafias. Like, they've been goofy. The only one I really liked is probably Agatha and
Agatha stuff, yeah.
But everything else has been lackluster. So the question I have for you, Chris, Gravik, is he giving you the gravitas? Is he giving you a villainous nature, or is he kind of lacking?
To me, no. I don't have a problem with him in the show. I think based on Disney Plus shows and a potentially low bar, he is one of the better villains, and I think he's acting well in the show. I think he's like doing the lines. He's believable in it. Also, I got to shout out High Fidelity. That's where I discovered him at.
I couldn't remember. He was one of
he was the main. He was the main ex. Yeah. So shout out to him. And I guess he's also in Barbie. Yeah. Nah, that was crazy. I need that show. I need more of that.
Fire.
But no, I think he's one of the best. I think he's one of the best ones.
I agree with you, man. Especially going back to our dislike of episode 1. Not that it was terrible, but out of the 3, it's been the weakest. He had like 2 lines. But since episode 2, he's been showing, well, at the end of episode 1, killing Marie, which, complete side note, I'm just curious, this is our first time talking about it. Do you believe Maria Hill's dead?
I don't know if I believe she's dead. I don't think the daughter's dead. I don't know if anybody's dead.
It's all the ruse. I'm definitely with you there. And we'll talk about Gaia. But yeah, I think she's still out there somewhere. But yeah, man, I definitely have felt his presence. I still, I don't think I've fully have gravitated towards his statement of his mission. Like, the hatred I get, like, okay, Nick Fury made a promise 30 years ago. He's lacking on the promise. I get the frustration there, but then to fuel that frustration in annihilating humanity, I don't know if I've believed that transition for the character, even though obviously we were just meeting him. But do you feel like that whole, does it feel a little bit too mustache twirly, end of the world villain type of motivations? Or do you feel like he has every right to be like, annihilation, humans are terrible, they're killing each other, we might as well accelerate the process?
No, I don't think so. Because it's like, bro, you could just chill. Like, we made room for you. Like, you could just hang out. Like, just be cool. But I did see a little mini parallel to the X-Men when they were talking in this episode about like, no, like they'll know the good ones versus the bad ones, and it's like you could see like a Magneto in him to be like, no, there is no separation. They won't understand that. And then another thing I loved is when Sam Jack was complaining about the million Skrulls and how, like, you know, this dude's telling them that they can coexist, and he's like, humans can't even coexist. I like that line a lot.
Spitting facts, yeah. I agree with you, man. I think There's definitely, and again, this is my whole fear of 6 episodes, and hopefully this is a ramifications. We still see these ripple effects in MCU, but yeah, I hope that there is a lot more to explore with this character. But for my comic book nerds out there, last week, Chris, the whole speculation online was when Gaia was going through the files, she came across experiments. And as you can see on the screen now, it is confirmed. A lot of people were thinking that they were creating their own versions of the Super Scrolls, who in the comics were, it was one individual that were able to take on the powers of the Fantastic Four. But obviously we don't have the Fantastic Four in the MCU yet. So they kind of remixed it, and they have Groot, Extremis from Iron Man 3, Frost Giants from your favorite Thor: Dark World, as well as the Colixian from Infinity
the big
War,
dude from Infinity, yep,
who got his hand cut off. Shout out to Wong. Super Scrolls, Chris, again, the MCU introducing us something. We got time travel, multiverse. Now we have the abilities of these aliens to take on these super powered Avengers. What do you think about that, man? Do you think we're going to actually see a Super Scroll in full effect going against another superhuman and an Avenger in this series?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. I don't have much knowledge of the Scrolls from the comics, so I was learning about that, just watching it. And then from what I understand, it's originally those four are supposed to be the Fantastic Four, but because we don't have them in, so I was learning about that today. But yeah, I mean, I hope they set something up so it's like higher stakes and just like gets us more like invested in it. But
yeah.
Like it has potential here. I don't want to sound like I'm hate. Like it just didn't grab me all the way like a full bear hug. It's right now it's a church hug. It's like just
right.
Maybe next week it might give me like a full dap, like a LeBron James handshake.
There we go.
just I'm patient.
I'm certain LeBron's a scroll, because how the hell do you know all your handshakes from high school into your 20-something years? It's crazy, so bro. The man is a savant. But yeah, man, I'm totally with you, Chris, on the Super Scroll angle, because again, I'll go back to the advertisement. This is a crossover event. I would like to see Gravis and Gravik and any other people that he's injected with this serum fighting against not just humans, but I want to see them. I don't know, is that a Captain Marvel? Is that a Monica Rambeau? Is that a Miss Marvel? I mean, there's no,
or is it all of them?
Is it all of them? Right. Yeah. I would like to see, and again, trailers sometimes get the hype going, but there is a shot in the trailer. I don't know if you remember the trailer for this show where you see Gravik. He's in the middle of the streets and he has the Groot arm that comes out. So we will see them taking form of a sense, but again, is it against a human or is it against like actual formidable enemies like the Avengers, which we'll see if Disney Plus got that Avenger money to see if they can get someone on.
They're referencing it quite often to not want to use them.
They are.
It's only been 3 episodes, and I'm like I feel like every episode it's like, hey, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Hey, and also like where are they? Why wouldn't they be there already? But yeah.
Well, to be fair, and this is the whole kind of disconnect in MCU, we don't really have an Avenger or Avengers team. Like who is the team right now? Doctor Strange is off doing stuff with Clea and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness fixing incursions. No one knows who Spider-Man is. She-Hulk is new. Captain America hasn't been introduced yet, at least to the MCU as far as Captain America. So I don't even know who's on the team right now, Chris. Like it's pretty empty roster, bro.
Yeah, you got.
Who do we call the Ghostbusters?
They have no bench.
They don't got no bench, man. They got to start from scratch. But you know what, Chris, before we move on, because this was a topic of conversation that me and Amanda had covered the first 2 episodes prior to it actually releasing. So we had no idea that this was going to be a hot topic for the first week of this show. And again, it was 2 weeks ago, but I'm just curious to get your thoughts on the AI conversation about the show with the intro. I understand one half of it. I don't get the other half of it, but I'm just curious on how you felt about AI creating art, creating intros, creating Marvel Cinematic Universe. How did you feel about this whole AI situation, if you're familiar with it?
No, I didn't know that they used AI to make this.
They did, and it was a whole topic of conversation in week 1 that people were obviously with the writer's strike, and one of the things that the writers are up against is AI and producers using AI to write scripts. So I get that angle, but I also get that where the show's perspective was like we're dealing with scrolls and people infiltrating things. So they felt that, like, artistically speaking, that it was a cool way to kind of tie into like conspiracies out there that an AI created their title sequence, which, I think is pretty interesting. But I couldn't believe the topic 2 weeks ago that people were up in arms about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not I'm not mad at that, but I can see how like the timing is like, oh, it could be better time.
Yeah, I
See how
agree.
it could look, but I still think it's cool. You know, it's
Yeah,
like I'm not worried about AI. Like I'm not in that camp. I think it's cool. I think AI will save a lot of things and make things more good than more bad. So like I'm fine with it as a
yeah,
concept. But
sure.
yeah, I didn't know
Hey,
that they did
man.
that, but that's cool.
Yeah, and it's definitely and yeah, I'm right there with AI has been around forever. It's nothing new. It is new to the sense of like Hollywood really made me rely on it more, but it's one of those situations where I think it's going to be kind of brushed over, and we're just going to figure out a way to combine artists using it, and also too, some people were upset because they felt like artists lost their jobs to AI, but that wasn't the case. Like they hired it out, they submitted it to a company that made it for them. But again, I
Yeah.
just thought it was just wanted to get your thoughts on it. But getting back to
No,
the
no problem.
episode, Chris, we're in your hometown, your place, New York City, 1998, where Nick meets Vera in her human form, and we get a little Easter egg of her bringing up Dracoff, who we know from the Black Widow films. Nice little call out for a film that I'm not a fan of. But the question I have for you, Chris, is something. This is where when I look at sci-fi and just look at shows or movies like this, why do characters do what they do? When do stories, why did the story have to start then and now? I'm curious on why his wife chose to be a black woman. And I'm just curious on what you thought about that. And also, do you think there is a significance of the face that she took in regards to, is it a character that is someone important, someone that not important? And again, did you think about why she chose to be a black woman instead of for someone else?
Well, you mean like his wife or girl?
In general, yeah. Like, what do you
Well,
think? Is that one of the reasons to like he might like he's a black man, so let me be a black woman and maybe get things going.
honestly, when they did that flashback and he was asking people to come forward and choose a human form, the first thing I thought was like they all chose black. I mean, they all chose white. I'm like, what the hell is going on with this? So I was like, maybe. I mean, there's two parts. It's like, yeah, I like this. People like to emulate what they like, so like that makes sense. Also, maybe she was probably like, God damn, like, man, I want to be black. All right, I'll do it.
I was thinking that last week too, and also too, the alien race. You would think that they would probably look at humanity and know that probably certain skin tones can get away with
Are
things
better
or
for you.
another. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they,
So I can't even get into Harvard looking like this. Hell no.
right. Excuse that. Slavery. What that? Nah.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I was like. Well, I wonder why she chose to be black. But then going to your point of like, Nick Fury's black. He probably likes black women. Let me go ahead and imitate maybe something that he likes. And I mean, obviously it worked because they ended up getting married. And that was a question I know a lot of people had last week is if Nick Fury was aware of his wife being a Skrull, which I was pretty confident. And I think you just alluded to it too. The woman at the beginning of episode 2 was the same woman we saw in episode, the beginning of it, as well as, as we see on the screen now, which
Yeah.
complete side note. Have you seen, what is it? Indiana Jones yet, Chris?
Hmm.
There's a big, not to give too much away. There's a de-aging done to Harrison Ford. I didn't really mind it, but a lot of people up in arms about it, as well as the Flash, CGI with some people talking
Yeah.
about that. I don't know what the secret sauce is that Marvel
No,
has,
it
but
was
every
good.
time they de-age their
Yeah.
actors, number one, black don't crack. We know that, but
Yeah.
it always looks fantastic, whether it is Michael Douglas or in this case, Priscilla
Sam.
and of course Sam.
Sam.
It looks flawless, bro. I don't know
Yeah.
why. And this is Disney. I could see if this was like Warner Brothers versus Disney, they don't want to share the technology, but they're under the same roof. I don't know why Star Wars is having issues with it. Like I said, if you see Indiana Jones, the first 25 minutes is a younger looking version of Harrison Ford, which again didn't bother me, but I think it could be a lot better. But whatever they're using, bro, they got that special sauce. They got that Big Mac Happy Burger sauce, bro. I don't know what they're doing over there, but
Yeah,
they
that
look
grimace
good.
shake. Yeah, no, I thought that the CGI did look really good on that. And yeah, the Flash, yeah, that baby scene was not cool. And I guess some of the other stuff too was not good.
Yeah.
But I heard some rumblings about the Indiana people complaining about that. But yeah, it's kind of weird that the TV show has like a better output than a big
In a
blockbuster.
big blockbuster movie. It's bananas, man. I don't get it. But again, I wish they would share maybe they won't. It's like, nah, we prioritize this.
Yeah,
We ain't giving away our secret sauces to anything, but hopefully they will one of these days because it has to look better. But we see Nick and Priscilla are their early days of becoming a thing. And I wonder how those 30 years looked. I mentioned it last
yeah,
week in regards to the whole Gravik, again, going back to where his anger stems from. Do you think, Chris, that Gravik was adopted by Priscilla and Nick Fury as like their adopted son, and maybe that's where some of more anger comes from? Like he lost his actual parents, he was adopted by a human and a Skrull, and then they end up letting him go. Well, at least one of them, and Nick Fury. Do you think some of that anger stems from potentially him being an adoptive son of Nick Fury and him being let down by his daddy?
Yeah, I think so, and I hope so, because that makes like a more compelling story. So I think that's like a 100% plausible explanation for it, for sure.
I hope so, man. Because I don't know if, we don't know the whole situation of can you reproduce with the Skrull. So I don't know if they have like a half Skrull baby running around somewhere in the MCU, Mr. Fury, which brings us into this scene, man. I'm just curious, Chris, on whose side do you kind of lean on in this kind of argument between Priscilla and Fury regarding him leaving everything? The blip, we understand he was blipped in Infinity War, and once everything was reversed, he went back to space, and his ego was beaten up. Man. Do you lean more towards Priscilla of her husband leaving him, or do you feel like Nick Fury just needed some time to clear his head and get his swagger back?
I don't know. Maybe my toxic trait is thinking like, girl, it's Nick Fury. What you thought was going to happen, like marrying or dating a guy like Nick Fury,
right?
The Avengers. It's like he ain't gonna be home for dinner every day. I always say that,
right? Right.
Like to me, she should expect like it won't be traditional. Maybe what she deserves.
She's an alien too. Like you wouldn't imagine like aliens follow the same human rules of relationships and open communication.
She probably like the less time I spend with humans, the better. So like, please take your time, bro. So I mean, I would. It's like it's not surprising, is what I would say. It's like being married to a basketball player and wondering why he's not home every night.
Right.
Well, I'm playing Utah tonight, so I literally can't.
I can't be home, baby. Yeah, no, I definitely kind of I understand where she was coming from. Well, to a certain extent, because we just met them as a couple. Obviously, Nick Fury mentioned, I think in Winter Soldier, that he had a wife, but I thought that was just him saying that to Nick Fury always just saying things, but no, it was true. So.
Yeah, a lot of the vibes. Speaking of Winter, a lot of the vibes of the show and how Fury's been moving is very like reminiscent of the Winter Soldier, in my opinion.
I agree.
The little sound bites, the little monologues, the train ride that he was talking about. They tell me something I don't know. Felt a lot like the Glock 48 or whatever, the 9 that he had. Talking to Cap. So I just want to address that as a side note.
100% agree with you, Chris. And that's where I think a lot of my enjoyment of the show has been so far, is that it hasn't relied on some of the other Marvel stuff that we love, right? Which is action, and an adventure, but they have really leaned more into the psyche of these characters. And it's very dialogue heavy, which I know might not be for everyone, but I appreciate understanding where these characters are coming from. And also, at the end of the day, these aren't Avengers, so they're not going to be fighting every episode versus Skrull. So I do like that more, like you just mentioned, that groundedness that Winter Soldier gave us, which is still to date one of the best MCU projects put on the big screen. So next question again for you, man, is going back to toxic traits. Chris, when my man sees that his wife, who he's been absent from, we don't know if there was any side pieces coming out of the Fury home, but she gets a call from someone, and we'll talk about the call she gets at the end of this episode. But if you're Nick Fury, Chris, are you picking up that phone? Which is that a Samsung, like one of those, or was it like an old school flip? Okay, I'm like, is that like an old school flip? Yeah. Okay, I'm Apple, so I don't know what these Androids looking like. They're Scrolls to me, Android
for sure.
But if you're Nick Fury, Chris, again going back to toxicity, we just got done watching The Idol. Are you opening that phone and seeing who just called your wife? Or are you just like, you know what? I've been gone for a long time. I can't control the house like I used to. What you doing if you're Nick Fury right now, Chris?
If I'm Nick Fury, if I'm Chris Tate, if I'm LeBron James, if I'm Barack Obama, I'm not picking up nobody's phone. I don't care who's calling you, and I hope you don't pick up my phone when that thing start ringing. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, I can respect that, man. But all I'm saying is, if I'm Nick Fury, this ain't no normal situation. You know what I'm saying? She's a Skrull. You don't know who to trust. Your eyes got plucked out. You lost your right eye. Coulson. You lost your left eye in Black Widow. You lost your heart in Maria Hill. He can't trust anyone, man. I don't know, bro. I'm at least putting a tracker on the phone, Chris.
He might already have that on there. And also, he probably like, I just pulled up. I gotta just chill.
Right,
you gotta be on your best behavior. You gotta make some breakfast. put some
Right.
coffee on the stove. Yeah.
Take out the lawn, take out the trash. It's a lot of stuff he's been missing these last few years, man. So I definitely agree with you, Chris. But shout out to all 33 of you all watching us right now. I always love talking to my man Chris from Taste Takes. So definitely, if you're enjoying the conversation like we are, make sure you're hitting the like button. Consider sharing the stream. We're going to try to get some of your comments. If you guys have any questions, let us know. And of course, consider subscribing, not only to this channel, but my man Chris here from Taste Takes. So, Chris, man, I love Emilia Clarke, Chris. She's my, I don't know if you were, you never watched Game of Thrones. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But did you say you never watched Game of Thrones?
No, I never seen Game of Thrones.
That's okay. I thought, because that's blasphemy. That is blasphemy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Khaleesi's one of my favorite TV characters of all time.
I was wondering, I was like, yo, what's this girl from?
Bro, she's not, her movie career hasn't taken off, but she'll always be remembered as Khaleesi.
Yeah.
Gaia, on the other hand, it has to be one of the worst liars I have seen on television. Like, it is just so apparent by her body language, the way she doesn't necessarily stumble over her words, but she's not carrying herself well to be a liar. Because it's almost like I can see through you. Of course, I'm the audience, and I know she's, working on both sides, but is it me, or is it almost make Gravik seem a little lackluster as a villain, that he can't see through her lies? Because this whole conversation they're having is based on last week. Okay, the guy we tried to break out, okay, he didn't know about our safe house, so how did he know? Which is a great point. And her whole thing was, well, I would assume he took an educated guess to find us. It's like, no, that's not the answer I'm looking for. So again, your thoughts on Gaia's lying, but I guess playing to Gravik's point, maybe he knew she was, I don't know, Chris. We'll get to another moment later in the episode. I'm like, why did he let that get by? What do you think about her lying skills? But more importantly, do you think Gravik was just kind of just adding it up, these lies that she's making?
Yeah, I mean, I never thought of it in this way, so that's cool. But also, she does catch that heat at the end, so then maybe he had a inkling about it. So
yeah. And you know what, too? Now I'm thinking about it, going back to episode 2, he's known Gaia since they were kids, because there's a scene where they're both, he's being brought in by Nick Fury and introduced to Nick Fury, and then we see young Gaia's there. So I think there might be, even though he seems to be very ruthless and cold and calculated, I think that he might have a soft spot for Gaia. And also, obviously, we know that he's probably using her too, because he knows that that's Talos' daughter. So it's a little bit like stab, I got your daughter. So
yeah, there could be like a little commisery, because it's like, I understand a complicated relationship between a parent or that type of thing.
I wonder if that's the case. Well, we'll talk about it later. He shoots her at least in cold blood in his eyes. But I do think there was a little bit of like, he wants to give her a chance because he's known her since a young age, but also he probably wants to keep her around just to maybe stick it to her dad a little bit further. But I'm torn on that, because again, to me, it seems very apparent that she's been lying a lot of the times.
Apparent.
Listen, man, I'm here all week, guys. I'm here all week. But moving on to this conversation, she at the time being, she's Gravik's like, all right, no, yeah, keep lying. But we go to, he wants her to go on this next mission to kind of get the ball rolling with the UN. But meanwhile, he lets her know that her dad reached out to him to have a parlay, to have a discussion about maybe getting her back and whatnot. And I'm not going to lie, Chris, man, again, I know we're not getting a ton of action, and I'm a big dialogue fan of movies and shows.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chris, this scene here, and also the scene last week with Fury and Rhodey, I'm loving these scenes, bro, of just like these, the ideology of Gravik, talking about World War I and how, people laid their lives on the line for invaders to come in, and he wants blood. I don't know, man. I thought this was one of the most fire scenes of the episode. And there was no action. It was just two characters that are cut from the same cloth, but obviously have taken different paths, man. What did you think about Gravik and Talos having a sparring match with the words?
No, I agree. I'm a dialogue fan, so I did that scene. I like the scene with Rhodey and Fury at that meeting. Yeah, man. It's been some good stuff.
I agree. The dialogue has been really well written, but you need good actors to give you that good.
Yeah, and then even the round table when he was explaining humans' demise, so it's just like we're just speeding it up. They're doomed anyway, so it's just like, why not? let's just make it easy for him.
I agree. And this is, to me, again, where Kingsley has really been showing off his acting chops, that he can really lean into. He does have more layers to him, even though I feel like his whole destroying Earth hasn't been as fleshed out as I want it to be. He's getting moments to shine when he's having these one-on-one dialogues. When it's more personal, I really think he gets the time to shine versus kind of the global scale of taking over the world. But speaking of taking over the world, Chris, I don't know. What did you think of this? Was this more of like a flex, like him showing Talos that we're all one unit, or this was like, I'm everywhere at all times? How did you take this moment? And we saw this in the trailer, but it was still pretty cool to see in an episode of Gravik showing his flexing on Talos.
Yeah, well, the first thing I obviously thought of was well, it's not obvious, but if you know me, it is obvious. First thing I thought of was Rush Hour 2 when they're at the massage parlor and Chris Tucker smashes Ricky Tan's laptop.
The guy, yeah, he's like,
and then everyone stands up and he's like,
"Get your ass up, Ricky."
I would like to pay you for that laptop. That's an old model. He's like, why you tell me this man rolls like this? Anyway,
shout out to Rush Hour, bro.
Yeah. Rush Hour 4 on the way. No, I didn't know that it was like we are all one, but it was just like I thought it was cool, and I kind of forgot that was in the trailer, so it was kind of fresh for me to see it again. Mm-hmm. But I just thought, like, I was like, okay, that's kind of impressive. Like, damn, like my team rolls deep. And then I thought it was a cool shot when they all just like chilled and sat back down. Right there when they all just went back to eating and all that. And then the lady just came and took the coffee or whatever. Yeah. Cool scene.
It's a flex to me, Chris, because in two minds, I do think it is one of those, like, we're one unit. Like with you, Talos, you're not the leader. You never had all of us unified as you might have think. Like, they are willing to die for me, and because to the point earlier about when they choose their faces, they could have just turn to anyone to show that they're Skrulls in the moment, but they chose to show you that it's Gravik that they're deciding to put their face on, just to, again, showing like one team, one dream, one face, one plan. So this shows that unified nature of what he has going on with his crew. But listen, man, Talos, he about that life, Chris, because even though we see that there's a bunch of Graviks running around him, he's surrounded. He's in enemy territory, Chris. But that did not stop my man Talos from, as soon as he says, you know what, you're lucky I don't just body you right now, let alone have your daughter in a body bag. Chris, my man Talos said, bro, you done effed up. You done escalated this to another level. And he stabs my man in the hand and says, that's just a warning to what's to come. I thought that was badass. I'm not going to lie, Chris. But this is one of those like little nitpicks I have in movies and shows. Why didn't Gravik just grab his ass and kill him right then and there? What was the point of him, allowing this man to not only punk you in front of your followers, but then also just to walk away, having that kind of, and I totally forgot. Let me put up the screen. He didn't just stab him, Chris. I forgot about this. He put my hands around, put his hands on his throat, choked this man. That's another level of disrespect, Chris. I don't know how Talos is able to walk out of that room alive.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen in many movies where they could have just killed him right there. So I didn't think so much about that. I just thought like, okay, because the guy knows he can heal or whatever, but or just maybe he needs that stuff to hype himself up more to like keep his plan going. But yeah, obviously could have killed him.
That's what I'm thinking the whole time, man. I think of so many movies where villains give you their whole plan before they, giving the heroes time to regroup. It's like, it's just,
I think Austin Powers addresses it.
Austin Powers is classic, man. But it's just one of those, it's like a nitpick of mine. And then this goes back to what I mentioned about Gaia. Maybe deep down, and there's some politics too, because I think Gravik says to him that you are, he's not the general, but he used to be a general. So maybe there's some Skrull not ritual, but like kind of ideology where you don't hit elders, kill elders.
Like some sort of like a respect thing, like we're not at battle or whatever. I understand.
And plus parlay. So they're not supposed to kill each other. I guess they're taking, even though, he obviously stabbed him and used the weapon. So maybe there is a level of restraint and respect from Gravik where he could have just killed him right then and there, but he's just still just kind of playing along and kind of teasing him along. But I did like the
Iron Man 3 callback from that scene.
The Iron Man 3. Oh, the Extremis. That is they had the healing powers whenever you would shoot them or stab them, they had the ability to kind of come back, which is, going back to our conversation earlier with the Super Scrolls. That is one of their abilities, or at least the ability here is to regenerate themselves. So yeah, that is the same coloring, same and everything. And they might have perfected it because I don't watch Iron Man 3 a lot. I do not like that film a lot.
I might have seen that thing just
moments.
That's just that one time. That's
bro. Not a fan. But from what I remember, Tony was able to kill them. Like he was able to like use his arc reactor to kill them. So maybe they've figured out a way to again perfect the virus. And as we see him here, which I will go back to this, Chris, because I do think another character that we'll talk about later, she might have taken some of that Super Scroll juice to regenerate herself a little bit later. But no, I did like that because even though I don't like, and this is the thing I like about the MCU, Chris, is whether it's Avengers Endgame, I know you love Dark World. I'm not the biggest fan, even though I like the Loki.
I don't love Dark World, but it got a lot of heat in it.
Rewatch our rankings. Chris had a lot of great things to say about it, and I respect it. There are some moments, but overall, there are some
definitely some good moments.
Not the greatest. But going back to my man's. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let me plug in my laptop before it dies on me. But going back to how these things make things better, I think this show will make Captain Marvel better as well as Iron Man 3 better because they're bringing those into the world. Give me 2 seconds, Chris. If you want to host for me, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll host for you. Yeah, I think I always thought Captain Marvel was a little overhated. I think maybe I'm just like a little apologist for some of these movies, but Captain Marvel does deserve a rewatch for me after this. I should have watched it before they like get caught up, but I think that will help just maybe give that some life. I don't know about Iron Man 3. Caitlin says she watched Iron Man 3 a couple times, so
yeah,
maybe Caitlin can tell us if that deserves a rewatch from us. But I definitely think that Captain Marvel we all got to rewatch Captain Marvel before the
Marvels. Yeah, for sure.
To get reacclimated.
Only thing I remember liking about Iron Man 3, very similar to what Talos did about like I ain't no bitch, where Iron Man gave his address to the villains on when he was being interviewed. He was like, "This is my Malibu, blah blah blah." That was badass. And then speaking of badass, the Malibu house crumbling scene was pretty dope. But and Caitlin just brought it up. That's where I hate the film.
Yeah, I knew you hated that the most.
You'll never see me coming. That reveal of, and you know how I don't like, wasn't it Trevor? Even in Shang-Chi, he was the worst part of that film. And I think he's going to be a part of Wonder Man with Yahya Abdul-Mateen II because it's about actors and Trevor's an actor. I'm going to probably hate that show because he's in it. So Iron Man 3, not a fan, but maybe one of these days. And maybe the show would make me revisit it because of Extremis being used as part of the Super Scrolls ingredients to get their powers. So did you peep game here, Chris, when we see Talos walking into the street and this random civilian hands him a phone? Did you peep game in that scene?
Wait, did I peep game to say what?
To who this guy was, this old guy?
No. Who that?
So that, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, guys, and I'm going to try to fast forward to the slight hand of the reveal. That was Gaia, because if you remember, Chris, when she was before the scene, Gaia typed on her like Nokia 2000 phone about Neptune. Yeah, so that was the same phone. And then if you notice in this scene where Gravik had saw Talos kind of walking out, he was trying to follow the old man before he got, and this is just, one of those like movie magic, TV show magic where like something gets in the way at the perfect time. So here, I'm going to try to find a screenshot. As soon as that truck moves, because he's trying to follow him, you'll notice, let me try to find the perfect screenshot right here. You'll notice Gaia is magically just conveniently getting out of the car or making it look like she's getting out of the car. And you'll notice that old man is right there behind her. So what I'm getting at is Gaia was the old man. That's how she gave her dad the phone. And I think he even alludes to it a little bit earlier that that's how the phone was given to her. So
gotcha.
Pretty
basic
quick
question,
move, man.
Basic question.
Shoot for it.
Are family scrolls or familiar scrolls supposed to be able to recognize themselves when they're in different forms?
That is a fantastic question, Chris, because I don't think they are able to know. Because I think even in even comic books, I don't think they're able to. But the show made it, they build in their rules when they said in episode 1, when they showed us those hive of people they're taking their memories from. The longer they're in the shell, the harder it is to be, recognized from not only humans, but also Skrulls themselves. So I do think that plays into it as far as the world building and understanding. The longer you're in it, the harder it is to read, because to your point, you would have thought that, Talos would have known there was other Skrulls in the room with him, and there's other moments where you would think that's almost like a cheat code. If the Skrulls knew who other Skrulls were, it would defeat the purpose of the mystery angle of it all. But yeah, no, that is a question I was wondering too. But I think, like the show established, the longer you're in the skin, the harder it is to read. But great question, man. But speaking of harder to read, I don't know how you feel about this relationship, man, but I think it's one of the shining spots of this show, and also in this episode, the back and forth, the banter between Nick Fury and Talos, man. Again, as you mentioned, I don't revisit Captain Marvel too much, but I don't remember their banter being this good. Of course, we know that was their first time meeting, but this show, Nick Fury, or I should say Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, we know they've been friends for 30 years, but we obviously haven't seen that friendship for 30 years. The way they play it, I can see them being friends that long. Yeah, I think their banter is great, Chris. What did you think about this scene, their banter, their chemistry, but also, did you feel like Nick Fury, and we'll talk about it later, was disrespected in this episode by Talos, kind of undermining all the stuff he's done in the MCU so far?
Well, number one, yeah, I agree that this banter was good, and it does explain the friendship. I thought it was kind of weird that Fury kicked him off the train. He's like, and like, he just protected you from getting caught. Like, and first of all, you're shouting hella loud, and they're looking for one black guy. Anyway, then I thought I liked that when he came back around for help, that they didn't drag it on like, no, you kicked me off the train. And that explains the 30 years again. It was like, because he wouldn't do that, because it's just like they're more like brothers now. So this scene had a little bit of that Banshees of Inisherin to it, where it was just like they're just old friends. So I did appreciate that. And I mean, undermining is, he's probably like, I don't care what you do on Earth. Like, I'm just like we're just boys now. It's kind of like when your brother is like, a celebrity or something. It's like they're less impressed about that stuff at Thanksgiving. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I definitely agree with a lot of the stuff you just said, especially to shout out to Banshees, one of my favorite films last year. Yeah, they have an understanding of each other, and I love that. Yeah, they didn't linger on the whole kicking me out of the train thing, because I mean, it is a lot. It's a lot to be taken on, to know that you thought there was a couple hundred, running around Skrulls on Earth, but there's a million. That is a tough pill to swallow. And I'm going to ask this question to you, because I asked to Amanda. Chris, is it almost the expectations that the Skrulls put on Nick Fury to find them a planet?
A planet, yeah.
Granted, they had Captain Marvel too, which I have my issues with her. Where has she been? Why hasn't she been global trotting around the planet? But does it seem a little odd to you, Chris, that they relied on this human being to find them another planet?
Well, he said, trust me. So
you say trust, yeah.
You gotta just take a man for his word. I also, unrelated, because we're talking about dialogue and stuff, I've been loving all the Sonya scenes. I love her wordplay. I love her dialogue. I meant to talk about that in the beginning. I always love her work in other projects. Yeah. Big fan of. Is she the one from The Favorite, or am I?
Yeah, she was the queen.
Yeah,
she was in The Crown as well.
Big fan of her as an actress, but just her here, like, she's eating this in a way it's just perfect. It's just clean.
Took the words right out of my mouth, man. Episodes 1 and 2, every episode, my MVP was Sonya. Yes, 100%
agree with you. Make sure I gave her some flowers.
Yes, man. Let's talk about her now. We cut to the scene where Nick Fury gives her a call, and I totally agree with you. There's a level I would imagine as an actor, and she's a great actress, Academy Award-winning actress. But there still has to be a little bit of like bubble guts, a little bit of nervousness as you're stepping into this playground of these, 30 plus films, $1 billion. And she fits it like a shoe, Chris. Like, I totally agree with you, man. She eased right into this role. She's easing right into this world. You understand the dynamic between her and Nick Fury, and she is playing it perfectly. And her wit and her charm, and even the jokes. This show is very dire, very kind of cerebral. There's not a lot of levity to the show. it's hard to be the almost not the comedic relief, but it's hard to kind of play the levity of a serious show, and she does it perfectly, bro. Especially in this scene, the whole Nicholas Fury. She found the eye. I love her, man. Now, question I have for you, Chris: can we trust her? Can we trust her, bro? And not only on the level like her being a scroll, which I mean could be, but just in general, do you think we can trust Sonya?
I hope so. I think I'm leaning toward. I'm also like naive. I'll trust anybody, but I do believe so.
I hope so, bro. I hope so. And speaking of trust, man, the homie who's always coming through is my man Brandon from Just My Opinion Reviews, who actually had a live review of his own on his channel with One
nice.
Take Big Dog and Lamont. So check that out on the replay,
shout out
guys.
One Take, shout out Lamont.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But my man Brandon saying, yeah, this episode was disappointing for the disrespect Fury got. He's Nick Fury, and we find out that he accomplished nothing by himself. I got a rebuttal for you on that one, Mr. Brandon. But then he got to beg on white man for calling him useless. I hear what you're saying, B. We will address that here in a second. But shout out to you with the $10 super chat. I appreciate you, bro. And like I said, guys, check out his review on this episode, as well as a lot of other great stuff that he has on the channel. But we will get to the disrespect on Fury here in a second. That I'm very interested to see your thoughts on it, Chris. But going back to can we trust her? Do you think this is a bigger play in this series or maybe further MCU projects? I don't know. I don't even know. Thunder. I don't know where we can see her again. But she tells Fury that she can't help him find or go directly to Bob, the builder's house, because she has her own issues at her hand, which is there's a leak within her camp. Chris, do you think we're going to explain that leak? Does she have her own scroll that she has to deal with, or is there something that this is the MCU planting for something in the future? Will it be addressed in this series or something to look forward to?
Maybe slightly addressed with a little tease towards the end. And I'm guessing this was the meat shop in episode 2.
Yes.
The butcher shop.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just have to address this because it needs to be addressed. And I'm sure you guys talked about this with the man.
Let's hear it.
For Disney Channel to let that beat your meat line ride, that is progress that I can believe in. Like, that's genius at a level where we always try to hate on Disney for being like, Disney will never show that. Disney will never say that. And Disney's like, you can say that. Let's go. So I just had to put
respect.
Give Disney some flowers for that. I'm sure y'all already touched on that, but touch on that. But anyway,
keep the puns. Keep going.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to touch on that. I just wanted to make sure that
we didn't bring up that joke, but I'm glad you brought it up. What we talked about, and it kind of ties into it, is kind of the maturity of Marvel, because within that scene, she cuts off my man's finger, and they don't pan away from it. They show you bone, blood, him boiling his like. I'm happy, Chris. I've been saying
a lot of the scenes have been pretty graphic. A lot of the fight scenes with Kingsley.
Yeah, grab it when he put the man on the hook and shoot headshots.
That was tough. I like that. That was tough.
Chris, I've been saying it, bro. This has been around since 2008. So even if little Jimmy, little Bobby was 8 years old, they're 23 now. So Marvel has to age up with the audience. So I love that they are giving us more. Have a good night, Caitlin. It's always good to see you. I know she's on a different time zone. We always love seeing your name in the chat, but you have a good night. And hopefully we can catch you on the next one. But I totally agree with you, Chris. And also, too, I think the times Marvel put in Punisher, Daredevil on their platform on Disney Plus. We know Deadpool will be rated R. I'm hearing that Blade could be rated R. So I think Marvel's starting to realize, listen, we got our time, we got our shareholders, we're a family company, but we gotta get some maturity in our content because these characters are mature, they're violent. We can't have tea parties and rainbows and a bunch of goofiness. We got to be serious. So I to go back to what you're saying, Chris, I totally agree with you that the violence has been much appreciated and the seriousness of what's going on screen is very much appreciated. I love it, man. I need more of it in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But speaking of we get more of the conversation between Fury and Talos. And going back to my man Brandon's point, I need to know, Chris, and we talked about a little bit in the bar, but this really is, they're leaning into, homie, you ain't ish without us, and particularly me. Talos tells Fury, because he talks about he doesn't get the dogs, humans and the dogs connection. And he says, well, I've been cleaning up yours for 30 years. He's like, oh, really? Well, how do you explain your promotions and your rankings? Every time you got promoted is because of us. So to Brandon's question earlier, Chris, and to your personal opinion, do you feel like this scene is disrespecting all the hard work that Nick Fury has given us in the MCU? Was the man disrespected?
In my head he was disrespected, but I didn't attribute all those accolades to the Skrulls. Like,
right, we never, yeah.
Like, did they prove that? Like, can he really stand on that? Or I guess I just
I
mean,
mean, the math is mathing, Chris. We met, them in 95. We saw last week's flashback in 96 that, they've been together for a while. And as he said, when he first met Nick Fury, again, my memory's kind of, fuzzy, young Captain Marvel, but he was a rookie. He was doing getting coffee for the head player. So it might be some facts there, Chris. It might be. But I have a rebuttal, but continue on what you were saying.
No. Go ahead.
So to this scene and to my man's Brandon's point on feeling disrespected, I still feel as though, and there's a little bit of, yes, I do feel like there's a little bit of disrespect there, but it's also calling an ace an ace. I think there is some things that Talos has done, has been able to help Fury get on with his career and get his accomplishments. But this is the Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant conversation, Pat Riley conversation to my sports
Belichick
fan.
and Brady.
Belichick and Brady. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. You have to put these people in position in order for the success to happen. So without Fury, number one, he was able to, whether he's, run game on aliens, who we always assume in pop culture that aliens are way more beyond intellect than us humans. He was able to pimp out these aliens for 30 years, Chris. He was able to say, hey, do my laundry, take care of these bad things while I'll find you guys a home. So I say all that to say, Chris, he's still Nick Fury. He is still that dude that he was able to infiltrate in his own way these aliens to do his legwork, to do his heavy lifting. And he still is Nick Fury. That doesn't take away from him creating the Avengers, for the Avengers running at him during Age of Ultron. He's still Nick Fury. I mean, Winter Soldier, he went toe-to-toe with Bucky in a certain sense, able to escape, death. So I still feel as though there's still respect on his name for the simple fact that this show is based on Nick Fury, right? He's the lead of the show. So I still think there is, I don't know if Brandon's still here. I still think there is respect on his name. And I still feel as though, even though, they were doing his work, he hired them to do the work. So I don't know. What do you think about that, Chris?
No, that's a good rebuttal for Brandon. And like you said, I never questioned Fury like feeling out of place. Like, he really walks the walk and talks the talk. So it's like, I feel like someone who was less than wouldn't really sell it. You know what I mean? Like, if they knew that they were just getting carried by another group or another person, like they couldn't really sell that to us. But I got to give you some points on that rebuttal. I think that's a good rebuttal.
And Brandon gives a thumbs up. So I think Brandon improved. I know I haven't seen this full stream. I'm gonna watch it later tonight. But I caught a little bit of their conversation. I know he was a little bit, as the super chat alluded to, he was like, man, there's some disrespect to my man. So I hope you kind of understand where I'm coming from, B, that he still is that dude. And he had to put those Skrulls in position for 30 years, and they still listen to him. And they're still listening to him. Talos tells him later in this episode, I'm not with him, I'm with you. So he's still that guy. You know what I'm saying? So thank you. But Chris, I mentioned earlier, this little nitpick, but they're in the house with Captain Bob. And I love the whole, no one calls me Nick. That's how I knew that it wasn't Talos, which I've seen some people say that, and we'll talk about Rhodey later, that Rhodey called him Nick last week, which might allude to Rhodey on the phone later in this episode being a Skrull. But they're in the house. And again, this goes back to my graphic. Why didn't he just kill Talos? The Skrull Bob stops from killing Talos because Nick Fury has his son.
Mm-hmm.
It's not his son. It's you're impersonating a father, which makes me question, Chris, just kind of the science of like when you take a memory of someone, you take the face of someone, and we don't know how long he's been Captain Bob. One would assume maybe a couple years, maybe a couple months, maybe it's just a blip. But I'm like, why does he have an infinite love for this kid, this human that's not even his, which I don't know, Chris. Maybe that's the weakness of the Achilles heel of the Skrulls. Have hurt their kids or threatened to hurt their kids, as we'll talk about with Talos later. That was a trigger for him twice in this episode. Am I wrong in thinking that, Chris? That like that Skrull was like, "Don't hurt my son." Like, bro, that's not even your son, bro. That's like,
but I think that
blood.
you could just make the argument to say like they just don't like harming children, period, or maybe when you do accept that body, maybe the longer you stay in it, you're picking up feelings. Like, I mean, like, because doesn't that help you be a better Skrull? Like if I transformed into you, but didn't know your day to day, I couldn't go to your job and be like,
I got you.
Yeah, like you don't know who to really hang with and talk to or whatever, or who you eat lunch with, or how you eat lunch with your enemies, bro. I have your whole shit messed up. But so maybe there's something there.
I got you. And this is I'm trying to think of there was another movie or show that was not Skrulls, but it was like someone was impersonating someone and like they were like, oh, don't hurt them. It's like they're not even you're an alien and this is a human. Yeah. Why do you even care? But no, I gotta agree with you on that, Chris. I think there is a level of like, and assuming that if he did take on this form of Captain Bob, that has been years, and maybe he has caught feelings for his son and his wife and his life, because they've been living this life for however many years. So it might be a little bit of that. But in my head, I'm like, if you're just big bad Skrull, you're about that cause, you're about that life. Go ahead and kill the boy. I'm not giving up these codes. I'm not giving up your boy. So I don't know. That's just me, though. That's just me. Maybe that just speaks to if I go full heel, villain mode, I'm just ruthless. You know what I'm saying, Chris? I might do that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, man, speaking of dumb decisions, my man, so they tie up Bob. Bob's like, okay, I'm not giving you the codes to the, the missiles or whatever the case to start World War III.
In my living room.
Yeah. So what I thought was a very dumb move, and this just speaks to, again, the whole kid, and this is actually graphics, or Talos, that's his real daughter. So that I give him reasons of why you threaten my daughter, you bring up my daughter's name, I'm going to snap. But it's so silly to me, Chris, that he snapped at this moment where these missiles can launch if you don't get the codes. Bob tells him, he doesn't even threaten Gaia's life. He just says that your daughter's a snitch or whatever. And that makes him shoot the man in the chest, killing him, Chris. I don't know if it's to this extent, Chris, but as soon as he did that to me, the first thing I thought of, and I know a lot of people were hating on this man for years and still do, Peter Quill, a.k.a. Star-Lord, Infinity War, losing his anger, Thanos, they could have got the gauntlet, blah, 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 how the rest plays out.
Yeah.
As soon as Talos shot him, I'm like, dude, you just risk not only your daughter's life, but this whole conversation of humanity, all because he brought up your daughter's name. Am I tripping, Chris? Was that a idiotic decision? On top of, then he makes it worse, Chris, because then he calls Gaia, who's his mole or plant in this situation around enemies. What if she didn't pick up the phone, Chris? What if she was talking to Gravik, Chris? What if she was busy?
Yeah.
The show's over.
You're 1,000% not wrong in thinking that. I didn't go deep into it.
That's where I was.
But no, it makes a lot of sense. And then that whole, like, I don't know, it's kind of like in Bad Boys 2. Like in Bad Boys 2 with like Gabrielle Union, it's like, and Martin it kept trying to infiltrate the case, and it's like, bro, she's undercover, like you're ruining it. Yeah. Like just leave her alone. So that's the similarity there. But it's like, yeah, to your point, it's like it is very Star-Lord of it.
I thought it was a very silly move because again, this is a show. I don't know. I won't call it a plot hole, but that was a very risky thing to do, to kill the guy that has the codes and then assume that Gaia was going to be able to pick up the phone, that she wasn't in the same room with Gravik, that she wasn't near her phone in general. And what if the phone was on her bed? And I don't know, man. I think that was a very rookie mistake for him to do that and risk the lives of, the war to start, but also his daughter's life, because he didn't. And this, I don't know. I don't really want to prolong this, but then he calls her, tells her to get the codes. Chris, that's a lot of pressure. How did you expect for her to get the codes? As we see the scene, she has to go into the room, break her, her undercover nature, had defined the man's memory. Lucky enough, she's a smart character that she realized that the son was in all the things and Zachary was a code name. I don't know, Chris. Maybe I'm just not letting this go. That was I don't know if that's a bad written scene, if that's a character flaw. Is that just show that he is so a fatherly figure that he's willing to risk it all just because? And I mind you, Chris, he didn't threaten to kill his daughter. He just mentioned Gaia's name. I mean, hell, you can't even say her name, and he's gonna snap like that.
No, you're not wrong. And I think if he's really a old school general, he's kind of acting out of character, out of a general's character, because it's like, bro, like, yeah, generals have family too, but they're not fucking ruining the case for that. So it's just like, it seems a little extreme. And I don't know if there's some twist coming, or if it's just kind of maybe like a little poorly written. Maybe the AI didn't write it right. But I think it's a little out of character.
I 100%
for someone who's supposed to be like an expert of the art of war.
Yep, he was the leader of the Skrulls and Captain Marvel. That is something I do remember, and he's been, around all these different leaders all these years. Yeah, I thought that was a very dumb decision. And to your point, as far as like what does it speak to later in the season, Talos told Nick Fury in episode 1 that he doesn't want to kill any of his people. Like when they were fighting that arms dealer in the art house, he was like, Nick, don't shoot him, and then Nick killed him. He was mad. He doesn't want to lose anyone. Humans and Skrulls included. So I think we might see him be pushed to the edge. He might kill because when he finds out what happens to his daughter, I don't know. We'll talk about it, Chris. Will he blame Nick or will he be on a blood hunt and try to find Gravik because of what he did? And also, too, Gravik, I don't know if they confirmed that he killed his wife that died, that we didn't see, that was a death off screen. I don't even know if his wife is still, if she's actually dead or not. Because the way they made it seem in episode 1, it was like, you're following the guy that killed your mom. It made it seem that it was her that did that. And I'm just kind of looking through screenshots here. I'm trying to zoom in and see who else is in that little pod. Is that I'm seeing who that black guy is, Chris. I'm trying to zoom in. I know I want to bring him up. That kind of looked like an Anthony Mackie. I don't know if I'm tripping, Chris. Am I tripping? Is that Cap? It's a black guy. We know. So I don't think it's Don Cheadle because he has a hairline.
But it could be a black woman, though. No,
it looks like a man. I'm trying to. Can y'all see it on? I'm trying. That's as far as I can zoom in. It looks like a dude.
I don't know.
Got a hairline here. Well, I don't know if y'all can see my mouse, but
yeah, the hairline crispy.
I think that's a dude. I don't know if it's Don Cheadle. I don't know if it's Captain America. We don't got a lot of black folks in the MCU. So I don't know who that Blade, Mahershala Ali. But also, too, I don't know if that white woman, if that's Professor Dalton, the person that's creating the experiment. I don't know who this white woman is. But I just want to know, man, who's in these pods, Chris. I just want to take a lineup and see who they got lined up to be a Skrull. Yeah. But as we get the codes, it's Zachary. They don't launch the missiles. They're able to, and also too, to be honest with you, Chris, I'm like, this is episode 3. We're not about to see a World War III break out in an episode of television.
Honestly, though, like quick rant.
Yeah.
Can we just stop in movies and TV shows talking about the next World War III? Like, enough. It's an empty threat.
It's coming.
Like,
it's coming.
Enough.
AI predicted it, man. The Simpsons predicted it.
I hate when they say we're just preventing the next World War III.
World War III. It's in every wait till you see Mission Impossible next week. But
it's like back in the day when the androids were like, this is the iPhone killer, and then they'd be like, another one. It's not dead yet. I don't know if you're gonna make an iPhone killer. So.
Speaking of iPhone killer, bro, have you seen BlackBerry yet? I just saw it a couple nights ago.
Oh, I was looking at your tweets. I was like, come on, bruh. How did I beat you to a movie?
Bruh, that movie was fire. I'm a big fan of Glenn from It's Sunny in Philadelphia. But I didn't know he can act like that because I've never seen him in a serious role in his career.
I like that movie a lot because I love Social Network. So like, and he like a little bit of vibes like a little from Silicon Valley on HBO, like less comedy, but I like that movie a lot. And it's like, we grew up in that era, like you had to make a decision. I had a work like I never had a flip phone
before I got my first iPhone years later. Like I didn't get an iPhone 6 or something.
I got 3GS. Like it was a good movie.
I don't know which one is better though. Air.
Air.
It makes you feel a bit better when you walk. And also, not to. This is our review, guys. We'll get back to see agent. Well, I like the a little bit more than Black Bear is not the human, but like we see him in Mike's like life outside of Black Bear. Like we saw, Jason Bateman had a daughter that he's, this has to work because of my daughter. And we saw like they're not complete day-to-day lives, but we saw like what is it that they're fighting for, right? What is it? Why they got to get this deal to go through? We didn't really see that with Black Bear. It was just greed and ego,
just to make
which
a
is,
cool
I mean, it's
film.
truth. Yeah, but anyway, both great movies.
Yeah, if we're gonna go off I have to go off the script a little bit more. My bone to pick with Air is I only have one, and you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Let's hear it, bro.
In the intro, it's the 1984 montage. That's all it is, right?
I've only seen it once, so I'm trying to
right. Yeah, but it's just like like they're just going through all the hits from the 80s, like from that year, 1984. So it's like movies and all this kind of stuff. But I'm like, bro,
they mess up.
You did not include. I didn't see a Michael Jackson clip from that montage. Now, I'm a diehard fan, and I only watched Air once, and I could throw it on now just to close it. But in 1984, like obviously, like MJ is going to be big 80s and 90s.
Biggest thing in the world,
forever.
Yeah.
But 1984 specifically, this guy gets the most Grammys ever in life. In that one, like that famous pic when he's holding all the Grammys next to Quincy. That's 1984. Now, if they say, "Oh, we couldn't afford that clip or whatever," that's one thing.
Sure.
But if y'all are making a movie, you're not gonna ignore. You're making a movie about MJ, not including MJ. We got a problem. But I just had to say that.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it too to see what was up with that. Because I mean, they had Chris Tucker in the movie, and we know Chris Tucker was Michael Jackson fan impersonator. So
huge.
I am to believe that it's either a license thing or we just maybe missed the reference. So we will see.
I forgot when they threw it back on streaming. I got to go check it out. So yeah, I'm on that.
Someone was saying that the sound was out. Is it? Let us know.
Someone said that it's good now. They said it's good.
I wonder what happened. But thank you guys for letting us know. This is why this is my man. We can go left, right, up, down, and bring it back to the show. So bringing it back to the Secret Invasion. So the big question at hand, two in the last few scenes here, Chris. Number one, Gaia makes it out, but then she runs into Gravik, who says, "I knew it was you. Essentially, I gave you all the intel, and you came to be the snitch." She's, turn around. No, if you're gonna kill me, do it in my face. And she ran, boom, shoots her in the chest. Chris, out of body experience, one shot to the chest. Question at hand, Chris, is she dead? Emilia Clarke, who again, we were jokingly, I was jokingly saying her movie career hasn't worked out, but she is one of the most well recognizable actresses in the world because of Khaleesi. Yeah. Do you bring in Emilia Clarke for 3 episodes?
She was in Last Christmas, great movie.
Last Christmas, great movie. Yeah, very underrated movie.
No, I don't think she's dead. I thought about that too, because it's like another movie thing. It's like, oh, one shot, bro. Like you're a goon. Like you're not saving bullets. Like you could just really kill her. And then it's like we just saw him heal, so maybe she has some of that they show later, from the extremists or something like that. But I never for a second thought she was dead. And I know, like, I don't watch Game of Thrones, but I understand she's a big name, so like you wouldn't just do that.
Yeah. So and I agree with you, Chris. My reasoning, and this is immediately when I watched the episode, and this is the power of. We talked about the lack of marketing, but one of the marketing was the trailer. And I don't watch as many trailers as I used to back in the day because they do give away a lot in trailers nowadays.
Yeah, same.
I don't know if you remember, Chris, but in the trailer of this show, there was a lot of shots of one Emilia Clarke throughout this series. I got a couple here I'm going to bring up on the screen. There's a scene that is Emilia Clarke seemingly crying over someone's death. I assume that Talos might be meeting his demise in this show. If I were to guess, we talked about him being on a blood hunt and him trying not to get someone killed. He ends up getting himself killed. There's one shot of her that we haven't seen in the show. There's another shot, Chris, that's in the trailer that we haven't seen. And in particularly, this shot leads into, there's a shot in the trailer where that's the wrong photo. Shout out to Mission Impossible. There was another shot in here in the trailer that I don't have. But there's what I'm getting at, Chris. There's several shots in the trailer that we haven't seen in the show. Now, when I tweeted about this a little bit earlier, because I saw a lot of people saying, because some people were taking it like Marvel's killing all the women. They kill Maria Hill. They're killing Emilia Clarke. They just hate women. I'm like, sure, okay. But no, I don't think that's the case. Fringing, I think, is the term when they, a woman's death or a woman character has to build up a man. I don't think that's the case here. So there's that. And then some people are like, well, we know Marvel likes to trick people with their trailers. Sure. But I don't think that's the case in this matter. But the biggest point that you mentioned, Chris, is there's a reason why they mentioned Super Scrolls like 10 times in this episode. There's also a reason why they showed Gravik getting his hand cut and made it an emphasis to show that he can re-heal himself. That's because, like you said, Chris, I think that she did take, I don't know if it's a shot, this is a drink, if you got to go on a machine to get to Super Scrolls, whatever it is, I think she took it. I think she took the medicine to make her a Super Scroll, and we don't see the body. They linger on the shot of him driving away, but we don't, I was waiting for her to maybe pop up, but they got to, build suspense and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think that she's going to be a Super Scroll later in the show, some way, somehow.
Yeah. I mean, she wouldn't sign on to this project to just end it right here. Like she read that script. Like,
there's another shot that we haven't seen yet, and another shot that we haven't seen yet. And also this shot, if you look behind her, that looks like Nick Fury's wife. Well, I think it was more of a wife. But hey, you might be right. You might be right.
No, I think you're right because of the hair. But no, also trailers. What is this? Like, stop.
Bro, don't even get me started on trailer making. That's why I love Christopher Nolan, because he's like one of the few, him and Quentin Tarantino, like the only directors I know, and Denis Villeneuve that like they work on their trailers, and Zack Snyder too. So yeah, it's like oh man. And to be fair, Chris, when they make these trailers, sometimes they don't even know the order of the episodes, and they're not for us.
And they're not for like the nerds to break them down and all that. But it's still like, just run it by, get tired nerds, like say, hey, does this make sense? Does this reveal anything? Based on,
But hey, it could all be, it could be like people said on Twitter, oh, Marvel trickery with trailers. But I'm
also would reference the Hulk and the Infinity War and all that.
War, yeah.
Which I never remember that happening.
Whatever. But we'll see. I think she's going to be okay. But I guess the bigger question, Chris, is if she is alive, is that a Marvel issue that they could just keep fake killing characters just to bring them back? I mean, we talked about Winter Soldier earlier. Nick Fury literally faked his death. We're assuming Maria Hill's going to come back some way, somehow. And the same with Emilia Clarke. Does it take away stakes?
No, not for this one. Because like you're making a valid point, but I don't think this one in particular does that, because like we didn't warn her, like they didn't bury her. Like this is a quick scene. She was just shot. Like no one said she was dead. He just drove away right away. So like anything could have happened. She could have just passed out. She could have had a bulletproof vest on and just was playing dead. Like, so this one I'm gonna give him a pass if she comes back. If and when she comes back.
Only issue I have with the bulletproof vest thing is what the show has shown us is when the scroll dies, they go back to their form. Finger get cut off. We saw a scroll finger. The captain in this episode got shot. So I guess I'm kind of going back. I think she could be dead, but they're going to find a way to bring her back. And I think that way is she has extremis in her blood. Or if she's still alive, you can put them in a machine and they can, bring themselves back. But to go to answer my own question, does it take away from the moment? No, because I think at the end of the day, it still shows us that Gravik is not about those games. He killed her cold-blooded. I'm moving on to the next one, right? He didn't hesitate. Like she was going to give him like a little speech. You're a leader. And he just shot her. So I think it's still, the impact is still there, that he's willing to kill someone he grew up with when he was a kid, someone that's obviously his nemesis daughter. So I think it still works in that extent. And I don't think it takes away, if we see her come back, it doesn't take away from the gravity of the scene that he's willing to kill someone like her at any moment. So we'll see. It's all about execution, how they
Oh, you didn't mean that.
Yeah, I did. It's just, it's scripted, bro. I got it right here. But speaking of this last scene, Chris, I think her name is Patricia, if I'm not mistaken, her human name, Nick Fury's wife. She gets a call, or not a call, but she gets a call. I don't know why she had to go through all this just to get a gun. Priscilla. Yes, Priscilla. She gets a call. She goes to this place, very high-end bank,
sterile,
but she gets a gun. I'm like, why does which you would imagine this has to be some important gun, because why didn't she just have a gun in her house? But she goes there, she gets a call, Chris, and immediately I'm like, that's Don Cheadle's voice. The subtitles don't allude to it, but I think someone on Twitter said the Mexican dub says it's Rhodey, James Rhodes, that called. It's Rhodey, Chris. So the
Yeah.
question is, I guess it's safe to assume that Rhodey, which was a question last week, is he a Skrull? Is he not? I didn't think he was a Skrull, but
Yeah.
your thoughts, Chris? Rhodey's a Skrull, bro. What do you feel about it? Has he been a Skrull since Iron Man 1 with Terrence Howard Main? Has he been a Skrull since the blip? Is he even a Skrull? Maybe he's just working with the I don't know, because he seems to be working with the government, Chris.
Yeah, I didn't understand because I watched some stuff and read some tweets after the episode today, and they were like, "Oh, that means Rhodes." I didn't understand. Like, I was supposed to know that was Rhodes on the phone. Was that his voice?
You can tell by his voice. Yeah.
Okay. But no, sorry. And then, but what did he say in the call that said? Hey,
so she said, "I want to talk to Gravik." He said, "Well, he's not here. You got to."
You're talking to me.
Yeah. So I mean, so why would Rhodey be talking to Gravik? You know, so like,
okay.
And plus, it also, I guess, to go back, it shows that she's working with Gravik because in the scene with her and Nick Fury, she's like, "When you left, I had to go back to my old self, which is all things Skrulls are important to me." So I guess this scene is showing that she's also working for Gravik for whatever reasons. I talked about it earlier. Maybe that was her adopted son, and she wants to protect him. If that means that she has to get in danger, I love the line from Winter Soldier or Civil War with Black Widow about taking full control of the car. At least we have one hand on the wheel. It was either Tony Stark or she said out again. Bars in MCU, some high quality dialogue, but. Yeah, man. So thoughts, Chris, on Nick's baby mama, or at least his wife, being working with the enemy? Is she a double agent? And your thoughts on Rhodes essentially being confirmed to be a Skrull?
If Rhodes is a Skrull, like from the beginning, like would a Skrull, like, could they break their legs like that? From like, is that possible?
From Civil War.
From Civil War. Or if he's a Skrull, meaning, or if someone just scrolling pretending to be him, then where's the real him?
Right, because what we've been establishing is that if they have taken on a form of these world leaders, as we saw the one news reporter, we saw the prime minister, you would assume that Rhodes has been in that. He's in that. Maybe when I mentioned earlier that black guy, man, that was Rhodes. But yeah, man, because I'm starting to think, Chris, like even
because wasn't he talking to Nick? Didn't you say that he said no one calls me Nick
last week? Yeah, in last week's episode.
But he didn't just meet Nick Fury, so it's like, what did he used to call him in the other Avenger movies? Like,
it's true, bro. That's what it makes me think. Yeah, that maybe they don't have Rhodes, or just I don't know, bro. I don't know. That's a good question. It's a good question. Because I'm just thinking of like all the Rhodes, not even like trying to go back to 2000 when we first got introduced to Don Cheadle's Rhodes and Iron Man 2, but like his actions in Infinity War, like he brought in the Avengers, and like you think of Civil War, him siding with, I don't know, like I wonder if it, and then, like Agent Ross, how long is Agent Ross?
A little weird. He was talking to Fury a little weird in that scene. And that scene, the dialogue was great, like I said, but the scene was weird. Then security gets his hand broken and the gun taken. What kind of security is this?
Right, he's lacking. That's good. I don't know, man. Because my thing last week, the reason I felt like he wasn't a Skrull last week is because when he was talking to the world leaders, and they were like, Nick Fury did this in Moscow. We need to do this, and you need to recommend. Like, why? If Rhodey was against Fury, if he is a Skrull, why wouldn't he just be like, yeah, we need to take him down, kill him, bring him in? But he was like, no, we don't have.
Yeah, proof. He's like, we can't prove that. Nobody trusts the Russians.
Yeah, why would he defend Nick Fury if he's a Skrull and wants to take him down? So it makes me think that there's another Rhodey, but then why would that Skrull impersonate? Like, I guess it plays with the audience, obviously, but why would he impersonate Rhodes if he's talking to Priscilla? Why wouldn't he just be his normal Skrull self? Like, why does it have to be Rhodes' voice on the phone impersonating a Skrull? Well, impersonating him.
Yeah.
Questions that hopefully we'll find out next week, man. But I guess the bigger question for if it is revealed to be a Skrull, that he's been a Skrull, whether it's since the beginning, since we've seen him on screen, or somewhere in between the blip. Do you care, Chris? Like, because one of the things I read last week, some scooper online was like, there will be a reveal in this show that one of our favorite characters, or I think they might have said an Avenger, is going to be one of the big reveals of the show. Is one of a beloved Avenger will be revealed to be a Skrull.
Okay, well that checks out. That checks out for that because he is beloved. He has no real. He's one of everyone's favorites.
Yeah.
You're asking me, what did you ask?
If you find out that Rhodey's been a Skrull, let's just say this whole time, will you be like, oh my? Will it be mind-boggling to you, or is it just like,
It'll be mind-boggling, but then I would imagine rewatching some of that stuff. It wouldn't. Yeah, I hope it lines up, but it might be like I don't know. He wouldn't have done that, or he wouldn't acted that way. Or also like if Fury's this fucking scroll whisperer, how are you working with this dude for so long and not know? Unless,
yeah,
unless he does know.
unless he does know. I mean, he knows he's sleeping with the enemy, Chris. He's got feelings for these scrolls, bro. I don't know, man. I guess this is the beauty of the show. I always see people talking about she either has an extremist or a bulletproof. Well, I don't think she has a bulletproof vest on because, like I said, my thing is if she had a bulletproof vest on, we wouldn't see the blood, and also she wouldn't transform back into her form. But either way, we'll see. Plot armor prevented double tapping her. Yeah, that's another thing with me in movies, Chris. When you shoot someone, I never shot anyone. Hopefully, I never will have to.
I hope so too.
Yeah, me too. Unless come at my family. But when you shoot someone, Chris, I think you will want to make sure that they're dead.
Especially if I'm a bad guy.
Yeah,
like
headshot.
A lead bad guy.
Yeah, so there's that. And maybe it's revealed like next week. He like, I missed your heart on purpose just to send you more. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see
to me, things like that are kind of easily corrected in writing. Like maybe she sees the gun and starts to run, and then he shoots her, and then catches her in the like wherever he caught her, and then he's just like, I can't wait around here. Someone's coming, or like then I have to leave. Like you guys are just by yourselves. Like you could have just either put like you could have emptied the clip in her.
Yeah. Think about terrible Hawkeye show when they shot Echo shot Kingpin, and then like we just heard the shot and we just assumed that. I don't know. I'm not looking forward to that show, bro. I'm hearing some not so good things about Echo. Hence why they're dropping it all at once.
I said from when we reviewed Hawkeye, I don't know why they would give her a show.
I mean, listen, I respect the idea of like, again, representation is huge. She's death, disability,
that stuff is cool, but give her a good role in Hawkeye. Yeah. We're not watching Sam L. Jackson. Who's gonna watch? What's her name?
I don't know the actress name or the character.
The actress.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you, bro. Hopefully, listen. Maybe by the end of her show, we'll all know her name. I can see it, right? It starts with an A, but yeah. Anyway, man, shout out to Loki. I can't wait for that to come out in October. That's gonna be fire. Yeah, October, man. Maybe they recently grabbed Rhodey.
Yeah, maybe. Possibly. I like that.
But then I'm like, he's gonna just snatch up Avengers, man. They ain't fighting. Well, maybe Armored Wars.
I mean, as far as the Avengers go, he don't got no powers.
He doesn't have any power, but he's a war general. He's a war veteran. He got those hands, Chris. He can fight. Skrulls are super powered. They are stronger than
he's not getting any younger.
He's not, and he does have. Is his legs fixed? They fixed his legs.
He was moving a lot different in this show than he was in Captain America? Was
that the last time? Oh, we saw him in Falcon and Winter Soldier.
We saw him talking.
Yeah. Was he weird to Anthony Mackie in that scene? I got to go back to that.
He wasn't. He was being cool. He's been cool, that's when they had the exhibit in the museum and all that.
Yeah.
AC.
We'll see. Hopefully she'll have a surprise hit. We'll see. He was supposed to be protecting U.S. access and entrance. He sent the flight's going to sell out.
Also, super random. I was watching. I love Parks and Rec, and I just caught it the other day, and Aziz was asking out this woman who was like a nurse or a doctor. You've seen Parks and Rec with Aziz,
of course.
Yeah, and the girl was the She-Hulk actress. I was like, damn.
Tatiana Maslany?
Yeah, exactly. Nice. Like a quick little role. I'm like, yo, She-Hulk. That's crazy.
That's what's up, bro. Are you excited to see She-Hulk again in MCU, Chris? Which right now the rumor is, I think Cap. I think she's supposed to be. Everyone's in Cap, especially if you're a Hulk. It's a Captain American Hulk movie. Are you excited to see her back again?
Yeah, I am.
Me too, man. Out of all the new characters we've been introduced to, who are you most excited? We already know we're gonna see Miss Marvel in the fall, but Moon Knight, She-Hulk. Who else is new? Have I missed someone? Miss Marvel. And then a bunch of the little Marvels running around. Kate Bishop.
Shang-Chi. You mean from the shows?
Yeah.
No, I think She-Hulk. Because I want to see, like, Moon Knight, of course, is cool. Yes. Yeah. But I just want to see how She-Hulk interacts with other.
Say Avengers, but Ain't no
other big
Avengers.
names. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see her again. I am very excited to see Moon Knight again. And I hope that they are shooting the Blade movie come next
Because
year.
Moon Knight would be with right.
Yeah, Moon Knight and Blade and Doctor Strange, which Benedict Cumberbatch in an interview yesterday said that he's going to be shooting something for Marvel next year. And I don't think it's his movie.
I saw you tweet that.
Yeah, I think Blade. I think because that's when they're shooting next year. And I think, whew, I'm gonna need that in my life. Some Midnight Suns, bro. The supernatural MCU. But we got a super chat that just came in from Sims. Thanks for the discussion. Really enjoying. Well, thank you, Sim. I'm glad you enjoyed the conversation, and I appreciate the support in that way with the super chat. And if you all are enjoying this conversation, we're going to wrap it up here in a bit. Make sure if you haven't already to like, share, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And also the question I asked to Chris, who are you most excited to see next out of all the new Avengers, or assumingly going to be Avengers from a TV perspective? Kate Bishop.
You can also kind of maybe somewhat include from original Captain America's kid. Does he count?
Original Captain America's kid. Oh, it's about
Isaiah
Bradley. Yeah, he could count. Yeah, him. Yeah, man, there's so many new characters we met. WandaVision's kids, Speed and Wiccan, Billy and whatever. I can't think of the other kid's name.
See, if I never see Wanda's kids again, geez.
We will. I think they're going to be in the Agatha show. From what I think they're aged up in the show, and I'm really, speaking of Parks and Rec, I'm really that. First off, I love Agatha. I think Katherine Hahn is a phenomenal actress, but I'm really excited for that show, Chris, because all the talent. But there's one talent I'm really excited for. We talked about Parks and Rec. I am a huge Aubrey Plaza fan, and Chris, I don't know if you've ever seen Legion on FX like several years ago. It was an X-Men show.
She's in that,
bro. It's one of the greatest shows you'll ever see. She's in Legion. She's the She's a very big character in that show. Dan Stevens is Professor X's son. It's one of the greatest shows. So it's super weird and it's right up my alley. Great. 3 seasons. It was not a quick binge, just like 10 episodes per season, but it is psychologically, it's a phenomenal show, Chris. If you ever get a chance to watch Legion, it is fantastic, and she is shining star. That's when I started to see her as an actress, because I always loved her as April in Parks, but she always kept playing the same character.
Ingrid Goes West.
Yep.
She's also in that low-key but low-budget film, Criminal,
or Emily the Criminal or something like that.
Yeah,
Criminal Emily, one or the other. She's great, bro. And I don't know if you watched White Lotus, Chris, but she was great in White Lotus most recent season. I'm a big Aubrey Plaza fan, man. So I say all that to say she's going to be in Agatha's show as apparently
genius
Mephisto. So we'll see. We'll see, bro. We'll see. Remember that Mephisto train 3 years ago?
Come on.
Read the website. I don't know yet. The black guy, I know he was in Take and bringing in the kid I watch. I don't know what any of that means, but appreciate it, Charlie. Black guy for Superman show. I don't know. Let me know. Clear me up, Charlie. Help me out. Aubrey Plaza is fine. White Lotus, yeah, she's great, man. I love her so much, bro. I love her. They're still able to bring in great talent. But Chris, man, we broke it down, top to bottom, Easter eggs, theories. Final thoughts on this episode, man, and just if you would put on your thinking theory hat for next week, bro. Are we gonna get the reveal of Gaia being alive or dead? How long has Rhodes been a Skrull? Who else has been a Skrull? What do you hope to see next week, man?
Yeah, I mean, I hope to see a lot. This is a show that if I wasn't a YouTube guy or doing this live, I would have watched episode 1 and I probably would have chilled out and I wouldn't have followed up on those next 2 or 3. Not immediately. I would have, of course, eventually watched it before the next film came out, but I wouldn't have rushed to it. But now that I watched these 2, I am looking forward to watch 4, 5, and 6. So I guess you gotta just kind of stay with this kind of stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen. I do think that the daughter is alive, and we'll find out some more closure on Rhodes. But sometimes you got to stick with it. It's still not my favorite Disney Plus show, but interesting enough for me to find out what's going on here. And they got 3 episodes to stick this landing, which we always debate.
It's a big order, man. A lot of stuff to throw in at Super Skrulls, World War III, and so much more, man. I'm hopeful, because I will say that it's not my favorite 3 episodes in. We all know what reigns number 1 for me is low-key. But so far, I would say, Chris, out of the most recent shows, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, which I've enjoyed, all those, Moon Knight included, this has been the most, like, as far as like dialogue, I really have enjoyed the dialogue. It's very sharp, very focused, very impactful, some serious, real conversations. And the acting's been superb, man. And I'm okay with the lack of action, Chris, for being honest with you. I love me some action, especially in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I love that the show has restrained itself from not leaning on the action, but mostly leaning on these incredible actors, Olivia Colman, Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, you know, the list goes on. So I love that they're leaning into the talent, man, because I think you don't get a Benedict, a Kingsley Benedict coming off of One Out of Miami to be a part of this like a superhero action show. He probably read the script and said, this is some great writing, some great character stuff. So they're allowing these great actors to act, man. Like last week was the first time I think we've ever seen Rhodey and Nick Fury talk ever in the MCU.
Yeah.
And we get those two great actors.
Yeah, which is good for like just black culture to be like, yo, y'all are in a big ass
group. Right.
So like, y'all would be chopping it up at the lunch table.
I'm gonna have to share this. I saw it on TikTok last night. I was gonna send it to Brandon because he's a huge Anthony Mackie fan, and particularly him as Captain America. And I know how you feel about Cap. They were doing a round table with the actors of the show for the Secret Invasion, and Nick Fury said he loved that he got the scene with Don Cheadle, and apparently they're gonna have more scenes together. He's like, it was just great to be in another scene with a black man with Marvel. They don't have us come together. He says, I haven't talked to, I don't really have scenes with Anthony Mackie. And he was like, well, I don't know if I really want scenes with that. He was being joking. Like, I don't know if I want to have scenes with Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, you gotta send me that.
Yeah, it's funny, man. But no, 100%. We got all these, different black actors. I would love, rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman, but there was so many scenes I would love to see Black Panther, or at least, obviously we still have a Black Panther, but I would love to see Chadwick going against, a Captain America, or going against, we didn't see him talk to Nick Fury, man. But anyway, before we wrap it up, Chris, any final comments, man, on, we got some movies to look forward to this week, Mission Impossible. We got some shows on TV. I don't know if you're a big Apple fan. Hijack, which I haven't watched yet, but I heard is great.
Yeah, Hijack, I'm going to check.
I got to, man. I've been hearing some great things. But I'm going to pull up some super chats, Chris. But let us know, what are you watching besides Secret Invasion and all the millions of Netflix shows you keep us up on?
Yeah, well, we talked about this briefly when we were talking about, I don't even know what we were talking about. We were talking about The Idol. The Bear, I finished season 1. Got through that. Got through that. Fire. Looking forward to starting season 2. I might have time to squeeze in maybe 1 or 2 tonight.
Yeah, man.
So love that show. I love that kind of craziness. And I seen, my man on the credits, like my man Hero, he's in a lot of shit that I like. The
Valana?
No, Hero. No, I don't think it's that. Let's see, what's his name? Hero. Hold on, because I want to get it right.
Yeah.
The Bear.
I love that show, man. I can't
Hero Murai, Murai.
Yeah, that's the dude from Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta, and he's also in something else.
A bunch. Not just. I know him from
Atlanta.
That was the first time I
Yeah.
He's a genius, bro.
The dude is good. So I saw his name, and I'm like, no wonder I like this show.
Yep.
So I finished that season. I'm getting into season 2. What else am I watching? Well, I guess I'll maybe try to find Mission Impossible this weekend.
Chris, man, I've been rewatching it. I'm on Rogue Nation right now. I'm gonna save it for when I'm thinking about doing a ranking video, but I'm just gonna tease that I think this might be my favorite action. And I already love Mission Impossible, but revisiting it now, I love those movies, bro. It is so.
No,
fun.
I mean, I like I like film nerds, like Cruise, that's like into it and trying to push the envelope. I respect him 1,000%. I don't even know what movie it was where they showed that that behind the scenes clip before the movie. There's a big movie that came out recently, and they were showing that scene that they were filming. And I was like, oh, this dude is really about that life, and I got to respect
man. I do too.
But yeah,
that's what's up, man. And before
should I watch this other one? Hold on. What's that other show with my man? So this Across the Spider-Verse, the Dark Miles, played by
Jerome. Oh, we talked about that. Virgo.
Yeah. Should I watch that show?
I haven't seen it yet, man. Okay. Not a flex or anything. Amazon sent me those episodes like a couple months ago, and I'm terrible at this. When I get stuff so early, I'm gonna watch it, and then it's already on TV. But I've heard nothing but great things about it. I think all episodes dropped at once last Friday. I didn't even know it was a superhero show. I thought it was just some crazy because it comes from the guy from Sorry to Bother You. So I thought it was gonna be some super. You didn't like that film?
Nah, I didn't
You
like.
didn't like that?
I was
Oh, man.
rocking with it. Then
Got a little too off the rails.
that's too
Nah,
crazy.
it's
I
too
did. I mean,
crazy.
I
Yeah.
went a couple weeks ago. I did Shrinking. That's a real good show.
Oh, you watched Drinking, bro?
Yeah,
I love, man. Harrison Ford was my favorite, man. And
nah,
that
it's a real
girl,
good show.
her name Jessica Williams, I think.
Yeah, I don't usually like her, but I like her show.
I have the biggest crush on her, though.
I'm gonna put you
She's
down. If I see her,
she's
I'm gonna put you down.
please do. But yeah, some good TV out there, man. But before we wrap up, because we got a question here. Does Secret Invasion renew your faith in the future of the MCU on Disney Plus? Let's go for first, Chris. Does this renew your? I know you said you were kind of lukewarm on episode 1. This episode wasn't your favorite, but just based on the positive talk, the writing, the acting, the seriousness, the maturity, does this bring faith to you? Daredevil, Punisher, more darker characters.
The answer is no, it doesn't. But I didn't lose faith in the MCU Disney Plus in the
Gotcha.
first place, so
Gotcha.
that's one thing. I think you can say on paper this show, if people watched it, they would probably like it more than She-Hulk because people hate on She-Hulk, and they'd probably like it more than Miss Marvel because that show kind of had its up and downs. And I guess you could say like as out of a recent show, it had more competition with Moon Knight. But Moon Knight was all brand new stuff, and this is a lot of familiar stuff. So then this one might get the edge over that too. So if you were losing faith in Disney Plus MCU, then this should. The answer should be yes.
Yeah. I've seen some people compare this to Andor, which I can agree with. Which I still got to finish that show, but I can see where they're coming from as far as like compared to like something like The Mandalorian, which I love. I still think is the best Disney Plus show or series, at least from Star Wars perspective. But yeah, no, I didn't lose faith to like Chris. I didn't lose faith in Disney Plus or Marvel, that matter, because I think what people forget about Miss Marvel, She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Loki, it's meant to be a variety. It's not meant to be one thing has to be the same tone, characters, themes. So I love that they're playing into what comics are, which is you can read a Squirrel Girl and pick up an issue of the Punisher and get what you want out of each of those characters. So I never lost faith in them. Not everything worked for me, but I wasn't sometimes the target audience for what they were going for. So, but I do, to go to this person's question, I do think that they're at least taking the more seriousness of the situations at hand, that this show required seriousness. And we've gotten that. Like, I don't think we've gotten any like slapstick funny jokes at all. Like, it's been like very dark.
The funniest person is Olivia.
Olivia. Yeah.
That's just good writing.
100% agree. Why? And also thank you, Delusion, for all the super chats you've given so far. And another one, yes, here, he or she. Why do you think Secret Invasion viewership has been underwhelming? I think we talked about it up top, Chris. But
we touched
the
about it earlier,
marketing and just it's summertime, and I don't think the show has like that whole newness. Like, these are characters we're revisiting, and I honestly think that some people just want to wait till it's probably over, based on episode 1 being a little bit more on a slow burn, and they just want the answers right then and there. So, but any more to elaborate on that, Chris? Why you think the viewership's been a little bit, because it has been very underwhelming.
There's a lot of reasons. It's kind of like a perfect storm. I find it harder in the summer to really get with shows and stick with it. Because like in the summer is so much activity. But I can catch a blockbuster on the weekend, and like I can find time for that. But to be sitting at home in July, and it's active.
Wednesday. That's the thing too.
Hot,
I hate these shows drop on. It's hot as hell, bro. I'm just sweating my ass off.
It's tough, man, to keep with it, and it's not in between, nothing crazy. It's like it didn't come after something fire,
right?
And it's
that's
not
a good point.
Leading immediately into something fire. So like maybe if I'm like really into Marvel, not a YouTube guy, but I'm really into Marvel, I might save these right before the Marvels come out, so it's fresher. And then I'm not losing nothing because it's not, the internet ain't all buzzing about it. There's no spoilers and stuff like that.
Yep.
So it's like a perfect storm of like marketing. Of course, you can always lean on marketing. I talked about it earlier, how they could have been promoting it. But let's say they don't want to spend, then that's these other reasons are the reasons. I think reasons why it would be a little underwhelming.
I agree with all that, man. But yeah, I think the middle of the summer too, and all the blockbusters that we got, and other mentioned The Bear and all the good stuff, which I totally agree with this comment by Sam. Season 2, and I can't wait for you to see it, Chris. I'm telling you right now, season 2 is the best TV show so far this year. It is great. Wait till you get to episode. All of them are great, but episode 4, 6, 7, and 9.
So they have more episodes in this season because
they got 10 episodes. Yeah, they got 10 episodes this season.
Did season 1 come out this year or last year? Like, was it? When did that come out?
Last year.
Okay. And,
Yeah, they were quick on it. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, bro. The wait. Oh man. Yeah. Shout out to Cam. But on that note, Chris, man, it's always great. Like I said, I was so fortunate to catch up with you. Was that Sunday with the Idol, and now we're moving over to this show. And it's always fun, man. So again, Chris, before we head out, bro, why don't you let the people know at home where they can find you, and are you a scroll?
Yes, I am a scroll, but this is my final form. This is the form that I chose. This is the sexiest form I could ever possibly think of. But no, yeah, I'm Chris Tate. I'm representing Tate's Take. You guys can find all my information in E's stuff. I'm here on YouTube making videos. I do some Twitter thoughts. I'm soon to be on Threads after we get off this call. My Instagram is in my bio and stuff like that. So if you want to contact me, email me and all that kind of stuff. Got some merch in there if you're trying to merch out with your boy. But yeah, just a big fan of watching this Marvel stuff and talking about it with Elliot. Probably, well, the main person that I've ever collaborated with, the first person I ever collaborated with. And I'm happy to see that we still kicking it maybe 3 years later. So here we are, we kicking it. So to infinity and beyond.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got one more thing for you, Chris. Speaking of scrolls, man, I just need to know, is he a scroll?
Oh man, yeah, that's different. That's different.
That don't look right. That
Yeah.
don't look right, man.
Damn, did he really take 12? He's 3 out
I
there.
don't know.
Bradley Beal left.
I just saw this picture too here. Is Draymond Green a scroll? Was a question too.
Draymond Green is Draymond
paid.
Green's yeah. He got a little money. He earns it, man. It's like people.
He did, man. He took a pay cut too. I think he could have got a little bit more, if I'm being honest with
Yeah,
you.
that's good. Yeah,
which is
I like
good.
that.
Yeah.
Keep the band together, man. We need some.
We'll see, man. It's gonna be a nice season this year, bro. It's gonna be a real nice season come 2023, 2024.
Yeah.
You think the Warriors are making it?
I hope so. I hope they make it. I'm a Chris Paul hater to the death.
I know you are, bro.
But I think he'll help us. I think he'll help us.
And one last question before we wrap it up: is Chris Paul coming off the bench for the Warriors?
I think Chris Paul.
He's gonna close.
They're probably gonna like start him for the season so people can shut up. But then he will slowly but surely get to the bench because there's no one leading the second unit. We need that. Like that's the problem. Like Draymond, I watched Paul George podcast with Draymond the other day, and Draymond was like, "Look, like a lot of our problems came from me and Steph have the connection, right? I feed Steph. I know how to find Steph. But when you tell Draymond to lead the second unit, then it's like you're leaving less minutes with him and Steph.
Right.
So if I could stay with Steph, and then when Steph sits, I could sit, and then you get Chris Paul in there. Now he's facilitating. Yeah, exactly.
Mooney. Listen, man. If anything, Chris, we might have to have a sports podcast come this season.
Yeah, literally.
But listen, guys, as you can see, me and Chris can talk about sports, movies, shows, and we always have a good time doing so. So if you guys enjoyed today's commentary, make sure to like, share. My man's Chris link can be found in the description of this video, including his threads, Instagram 2.0. But again, guys, you're awesome. Stay safe. And if anyone calls you by your first name, they're probably a scroll. So that's just a pro tip for you all. We will see you guys on the next video.
Peace out. See y'all next week. Nice.